And now also another controversial, deeply unpopular policy that no one's been consulted on. It wasn't particularly advertised in the manifesto. It seems to have come out of nowhere, although it was spoken about by Mr Blair many decades ago. The digital ID scheme. It turns out that despite the fact that apparently we're really poor, oh no we're not, we've got a load of fiscal headroom, oh we can't afford to do anything, oh but we can lift the two-child benefits cap, oh we're going to have to, you know, increase taxes and business rates because we're in such a terrible state, oh look, we're decimating the economy, we better change our mind on that. Never mind all of that, we've now got to scare up over £1 billion for a digital ID scheme that frankly nobody wants as far as I can tell. Let's speak now to Kevin Meagher, who's a former Labour Special Advisor, Associate Editor of Labour Uncut. Kevin, great to have you on the programme. This blimmin' digital ID scheme, a lot of the population out there, frankly speaking, are very uncomfortable with it. It wasn't put to us ahead of the general election, but it seems to me that Starmer has the bit between his teeth and he's determined to roll this thing out.
Well, we'll see. I think is the strongest I would put it in terms of the likelihood of this happening. I mean, this is an idea that's been rattling around for 20 odd years. Tony Blair was and remains a big advocate of what are compulsory identity cards or compulsory digital ID, whatever you want to call it. Mandatory is the new word for compulsory, it seems. It was a bad idea 20 odd years ago. It's a bad idea today. It's a bad idea because it changes the relationship between citizen and government. You know, if you have a mandatory form of identity, then me, Mr. Government, will compel you to produce that identity to prove who you are. So it changes the relationship between people and the government, the governed and the governing, if you like, which is all right. You might say that's a bit of an abstract concern. If you've nothing to hide, you've nothing to worry about, and all the rest of it. But it adds levels of bureaucracy into things, and the scope of having this mandatory digital ID will simply increase, because once it's there, it will just keep increasing in scope, which I think a lot of people don't want. Now, 20 years ago, I mean, I've been opposed to this, you know, my whole adult life, but 20 odd years ago, the kinds of people who opposed this tended to be on the kind of libertarian left. It would have been a Jeremy Corbyn, I suspect, and people like that would have said, this is a terrible idea, Mr. Blair. Today, that opposition is, I think, much more deeply rooted. It's right across the political spectrum. It's people saying, I don't trust what you're going to do with my data anyway. We've got, you know, there's all kinds of vulnerabilities around data security anyway, and having too much information online, which I think people are genuinely quite concerned about. But it's a bad idea. It's a bureaucratic idea, and as we've seen today, it's a very costly idea. It doesn't come cheap doing this, and I think you can read between the lines a little bit here about what's going on. So government departments are being urged to basically cough up to contribute towards this ID proposal, which kind of suggests that the Treasury doesn't want to pay for it and doesn't think it's desperately good value for money. Now what's going to happen is we've just had a very tight spending round for the next 3 years. Government departments will say, sorry, Chief, we don't have any cash. It's either cough up for your ID scheme or lose breakfast clubs, or lose defence spending, or lose something else that is very valuable. So I suspect this is an idea that will wither on the vine, and I think Whitehall won't cooperate, and I think it'll just sink beneath the waves eventually.
Well, let's hope you're right on that, because it seems to me this government are the purveyors of bad ideas most of the time, and given that net support for the policy has dropped to minus 14%, nobody wants it. Nobody wants it. Why? Because I have a feeling if this ever gets introduced, it will snowball out of control. We've already got to now do digital records for HMRC, which has to connect to our bank account. And then we've got the NHS app, and that's soon going to sort of speak to each other. So when you're saying, you know, this is what happened, I'm on sick leave or universal credit or whatever, it will verify that with doctor's notes. And then when you throw digital ID on top of it, soon enough, the government are going to have the whole of our lives in their hands, and they can do what they want then. They can become like the Chinese Communist Party with social credits. Oh, you didn't put out your bins. We're going to dock some of the money from this, or we're going to tax you more. I find it quite horrifying, really. So let's hope it does wither on the vine. What do you make of this argument? I mean, I thought this was quite entertaining, where Rachel Reeves went after Nigel Farage for saying, look, when we've done the analysis of the two-child benefits cap being lifted, and what we have found out is a huge number of people who are going to benefit from this are not British born. they're foreign-born. And Rachel Reeves hits back by essentially saying, isn't that terrible? He seems to think that only white kids should have a proper start in life. And then the party chairman, Zia Youssef, hit back going, oh, being British, does that mean you have to be white then? Are you a racist, Rachel Reeves? To me, it just exposes how farcical the ongoing, you know, pointing the finger and calling everybody the R word is getting these days.
I think it's a council of despair, frankly. I think people are looking, Nigel Farage's political opponents, the Labour Party, Liberal Democrats, the Greens, other people as well, even parts of the Conservative Party, they're looking for some sort of magic bullet that's going to pop his popularity and get him down from the 30-odd% in the polls that he's had for the last sort of 18 months or so, and drag him down to everybody else's level and finish him off politically. And it won't work simply shouting racist at him. It won't work with people going over what he might have said at school 40-odd years ago. You know, it's a ludicrous line of attack. And the only way that you punch a hole in Reform's popularity is by sorting immigration out. It's as simple as that. And anything that isn't that is just displacement activity. And every time the R word is used as a political stick to hit Nigel Farage with, all you do is hit a lot of the British people, a lot of the British public who agree with him on all of these major issues. And all you do then is harden their resolve to say, well, we won't be coming back to the Conservative Party and red-blue politics and all the rest of it, because you're insulting him, you're insulting us as well. So I think for Labour people particularly, it's a very casual, comfortable line of attack on reform, but it's a council of despair. It doesn't work. We can see that in the opinion polls. It's not made a blind bit of difference to reform's success. And of course, when reform pop up, it's usually Nigel Farage or Richard Tice. But as you say, it's often Zia Youssef, who's a Muslim man, Layla Cunningham, who was selected as their London mayoral candidate yesterday, a Muslim woman. You know, it's not as straightforward as saying Reform are a bunch of kind of right-wing golf club boors. You know, the Reform's popularity is now very well rooted in the electorate. We saw the poll the other day from Mumsnet, you know, for goodness sake. I mean, you know, it's all across the place. Lots of people are very, very concerned about the state of the country, the direction of the country, and all that wraps around immigration. And you know, for Labour, for the other parties, unless you get serious about listening to the British public and getting on the same page in terms of immigration and the composition of our country, then you will keep losing and Reform will keep winning. And it's no use throwing sticks and stones at Nigel Farage, because they just bounce off him.
Indeed, they do appear to do that. He's a cat with many lives. Let's talk about the civil service now, because they've turned around and said, not they, all of they, but rumours of Whitehall, of that a number of them are saying, well, if Nigel Farage becomes Prime Minister, I'm going to quit my job. I think, lucky you, it probably means that they're nearing retirement age, or think they're going to get a cushy job in the private sector, have some sort of golden handshake or some sort of gold-plated pension. We all know how generously some civil servants are being paid. But does this not expose that they are politicised, that they are intransigent, that they are spoilers in the system, that they are indeed what people like Dominic Cummings and certain Conservatives from the previous administrations have said, which is they are an obstacle in front of the government being able to actually exercise its democratic mandate?
Yes, I mean, look, civil servants, public servants more generally, they're entitled to have their political views. They can go and vote and all the rest of it, but they don't bring them to work. The clue is in the title. It's civil servant. You're there to serve the government of the day, which has been elected by the people. And you know, there's plenty of times when you get a government that you don't like, but if it's been freely and fairly elected, then you've got to live with that. And that includes all of us as voters, all of us that are involved in political activity when your side loses. But it applies especially to the civil servants. And I think the idea that you would try and pour sand in the tank of a Nigel Farage-led government is a disgrace, quite frankly. I mean, you know, we've prided ourselves on a professional civil service that's operated continuously through different governments, because it's been apolitical and has been willing to serve the government of the day and help to pursue its mandate that it's been elected on. Now, if you're a civil servant and you don't like that, go and get another job. It's as simple as that. Go and get another job. Go and do something else. If you can't honour that go and do something else. And I think, you know, reform, just like anyone else, are entitled. And we've seen reform councils, of course, spring up all over the country. And I've heard this in other places where some council staff have said, well, I don't want to work reform. I'm off. Well, you know, there's a lot of people. I'm afraid you're not going to find the cushy number that you're on in some of these jobs in the private sector. But good luck to you if that's what you want. If you want to do, but you've got to work and be prepared to work with the government or the council of the day. It's as simple as that.
Indeed, it is. Kevin, thank you ever so much.